nothing for you.
Oh, my buddy will be here.
So,
The one next to her.
yeah,
Yeah, she's not gonna be here tonight. But her buddy's here. Her buddy's here. Yeah, but she's not as tall as Dennis.
I can't find
She
it.
doesn't.
Okay, I can't find it. I look for it online. Maybe they're not.
Dennis,
Yeah, maybe they have a different name, but I don't know the company. Who was using it? It was, I forget what some municipalities were, but the Hackler Amphitheater was using them. And I was just told that they did a good job, and they're good others too. I've heard good things about them, so I don't know what that whole. But obviously they're not there anymore. What is that? Oh, wonderful. Yeah, you have to speak dolphins. I've done that before. Sunscreen religiously. I was getting baked or whether I could get a sun color. But yeah, very nice.
the other thing with
Did also did an earlobe ride in the Everglades, which is something also really interesting. So it happened exactly what you picture for the Everglades. Oh, you don't know? Well, next to what?
so that's
I thought you knew. Oh, I thought you
really,
knew. Yeah,
so when we said,
in April, early April. Yeah, this past April. Yeah, I just thought, oh, thank you. Yeah, I thought everybody was aware of that, but yeah, he had been in nursing home for 2.5 years.
really,
Yeah. Well, thank you, yeah, for my figures, common knowledge. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so I didn't know his illness and, before that, I didn't know it was 2019, so I really was on vacation. Yeah.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. We'll start with the pledge of flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Arndt?
Here.
Ms. Cook? Here. Ms. Eisenberg? Here. Ms. Falcone?
Here.
Ms. Hassler?
Here.
Ms. Plummer? Here. Mr. Stofflet? And Mr. Miller is absent.
So note for the record, executive session held on May 28, 2025, regarding personnel and collective bargaining matters. And approval of the minutes for Monday, August 12th, 2024.
I did receive some revisions, so the motion should be as revised.
I'll make a motion to accept them as revised.
Second.
Do you have the revisions handy?
Sure.
On the second page, I added salutation to, I said Ms. Heather Garris, Ms. Sayward Busher, and Mr. Mike Overlander. In the middle of the page, the last paragraph, Mr. Randy Williams. In the sentence that is approximately 3 sentences from the bottom of the page, it begins with the word benefits, the residents. It should be benefit. Next page, under Lisa Godshaw's remarks, again, Ms. Lisa Godshaw. Halfway through the paragraph, we refer to Celia Avenue. The street number is 546, not 534. 2 paragraphs down from there, Scott Arndt's comments, Mr. Scott Arndt. Under solicitor's report, again, the reference to Celia in the first paragraph needs to be 546, not 534.
Thank you.
Sure.
We have a second.
Oh, I think you did very good. Oh, yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Communications, just a note on the passing of Mr. Richard Druckenmiller, who served the borough from 1968 to 1976. He was also one of the last World War II members of Post 217. And I have a little bit more of his biographical info. He was a former Topton Borough president and member. In 2006, he was a Veteran Day Patriot Award winner at the middle school. He participated in drum and bugle, playing with the Sentinels, and managed to get involved heavily in drum and bugle corps competitions, becoming a band front judge. He was the model of what a dedicated life member of Post 217 should be, and holds the title as being commander for 9 terms. I doubt anyone will ever break that. And he was instrumental in assembling, training, nurturing the honor guard with a lengthy term as the boss. That was Richard Druckenmiller.
Thank you, Scott.
Welcome.
How old was he?
Richard was born,
98.
yep, he was born January 1st, 1927, and passed May 10th, 2025.
Be very different without him. It's a big part of this community.
The mayor is absent. Police report?
Good evening, everyone. Sergeant Folk with Fleetwood. We investigate with 20 incidents for May. We did not have any crash investigations, which is always good to hear. We issued 16 traffic citations in May, made 2 criminal arrests in May. We did not have any UCR reportable crimes for May. I'll go over the rest in a second. Vehicle stops, an additional 20 vehicle stops. Our criminal investigator had 3 hours of criminal investigative follow-up work. Significant activities. We had no criminal report or criminal investigations for actually in May. The charges that were filed were for a DUI the previous month and a non-traffic citation for an ordinance violation for soliciting regarding that incident involving at least one of the, we got identification for at least one of the persons who were soliciting, so Officer Button filed a non-traffic criminal citation on that person. Citation breakdown, there were 6 parking citations, 5 speeding citations, 1 obedience to traffic control device citations, 1 registration violation, 1 inspection violation, and 1 traffic control signals, and in addition, 1 school zone violation. As far as personnel, we have a part-time officer, Joel Abraham, has completed the hiring process, is ready to start field training. We had a second officer who happens to be a full-time Cougar Township officer who was also ready to start, but at the very last minute he decided not to come to Fleetwood part-time, so unfortunately. He was also a DV drug recognition expert and #1 in DUI arrests, so it would have been nice to have him. Still looking for part-time help if anyone knows anyone who is Act 120 certified and looking for a part-time police job. We're looking for part-time officers. And there's nothing else. Oh, besides this weekend, we had to ride for Isabella. I came in and did that work that. It was nice. It was raining. but we still had about 25 motorcycles, did a little ride from the park company to community park basically and back. And they gave this organization, motorcycle organization, gave her some toys, including a little mini motorcycle and stuff. So it was a nice event. So.
That was covered on WFMZ.
Yeah, I saw
Nice story, yeah.
Channel 69 News was there. It's still on the website. If you look, you can see a little bit of it. So it was a nice community event. Does anyone have any questions or have any issues they would like to bring to my attention so I can spread it?
I would just like to make, where does the Fleetwood Police and the Topton Borough stand when it comes to, is there negotiations going on, or is it, or, because we have a year, well, down to 6 months now for coverage?
I don't believe so. I just want to speak on that, but I do not believe there's anything ongoing at this time.
I had a question. Several months back, we had an incident in the park where some very expensive damage was done to some of our equipment, and the individuals were identified. And I was wondering whatever happened to that. I saw on Facebook just today that destruction of property, the Fleetwood Police will not tolerate damage to or destruction of property, and all reports of such will be thoroughly investigated and prosecuted when possible. So I thought that was timely that I happened to see that today, and I wondered if that's being prosecuted, or do you have any idea what's
Well,
going on?
can you give me a date which one that specific one occurred? I can
Kathy,
find
do you
out.
remember
I can-
Was it the restroom?
the domes?
Oh, the domes.
That was in the fall, I believe.
Yeah, that was September, that was October, wasn't it? It was after,
You can look it up.
yeah, I think
I
that was,
I never heard an update on whatever happened with that.
I don't know.
I can look into it. A lot of times we're seeing with video can help us out a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of times there's witnesses. If there was any of that and we had any type of evidence, I'm certain there would have been an arrest. Even if it was a juvenile, it's still going to be arrested.
Good, okay.
But I don't know unless I have more specifics. But I'll try to see if I can find out.
Thank you,
So,
I appreciate that.
Sure. Anybody else have any concerns or comments? Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hearing of visitors,
I have two things I'd like to bring up. I was at the park today with my two grandchildren, and while at the park, they had to go to the bathroom. Now, I only live 2 blocks away, but what about the people that come from Lannister or something? I know the bathrooms are closed. Is there any possibility that the facilities here in the council can be used during the day?
I can probably answer some of it, why the restrooms are locked.
Oh, I know that reason.
You know-
It's on the sign there, but I'm just saying, is there a possibility that the facilities here could be used? We could put a sign up at the restrooms to come to Borough when it's open.
When the borough hall's open,
yes.
you do allow
Sure,
people to come
yeah,
in
it's a
and
public,
use them.
there, we have public restrooms.
Could a sign or 2
Sure.
signs be put up at the door? That way people know that they could come here?
Yeah, during
instead
our
of-
hours, we'll list our
Right.
hours, sure.
Just put a sign up so, to let people know that they can come here with it, instead of driving wherever they come from. Okay, the other issue I got, there is a grass ordinance in town, if I'm not, it's 10 inches, I believe. Is there any reason why the borough can't meet their requirements on the new section?
Oh, that was the,
I'm sorry to say that that was the contractor.
Yes.
It's in the maintenance time where they have to maintain, so that first mowing of the area around the silt sock, the new soil, that was their responsibility. They were scheduled to come last week and they didn't come until today.
It still wasn't done today.
Because of rain, probably.
This one.
From 12 o'clock on, it was clear. I mean, the grass at the bank, at the concession stand is out of control.
Well, Brian, they were working there when I went by this afternoon. It was about 1:30 when I went by.
They were prioritizing, they have different people doing different things. They prioritize the removal of the non-compliant pieces of concrete first.
I
Right.
mean, I came down Callowhill and just looked over and saw two guys
You're right,
working.
they need to come.
Okay, I'm just,
No, you're right,
it doesn't look good.
no.
It looks,
No, it was actually semi-dangerous with the
I-
baseball tournament over the weekend that our staff had to actually trim because the contractor didn't show last week,
okay. So,
so.
shouldn't he have been held accountable?
Well,
Or shouldn't he be held accountable now, moving forward? I'm just
I would
throwing it
say
out
yes.
there.
I would say yes, and that's where punch lists and things like that come in.
Okay,
And final payments under contracts come in.
If the borough has incurred costs, we can factor that into
Yep.
through a change order, yes.
that's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Anybody else? Joan?
All right. Couple of updates. First of all, on 534 Marshall Avenue, the 30-day letter was sent out early in May that gave notice that the lien was going to be filed and that attorney's fees were going to be assessed, and the lien is being prepared and will be filed this week. I believe it's $1,027. For 546 Celia Avenue, I've forwarded Stacy and Charlie some information and instructions for the manager and staff and Borough and Associates to prepare a county referral form to refer the property to the County Blighted Property Review Committee for possibly for evaluation for that process as a means of getting the property cleaned up. The daughter of the late owner has also retained an attorney and will be working on that, but it's something that it requires more than one angle to get it cleaned up. The meeting with the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, you saw earlier a note for the record about the executive session that was held. For the agreement or agreement amendment between the fire company and the borough, I believe that is ready for the borough to be signed.
Correct.
All right, so I'll need a motion to authorize the signing of the amendment to the agreement.
Go ahead, I'll second the motion.
That's fair. All right, any discussion on it?
What was amended? Just minor
I
stuff?
believe it was the term was amended to extend it. It's been several months. They've had it for review. Does anyone else have any questions on it? All right,
All in favor? Opposed?
Okay, the intermunicipal agreements for the two Lutheran home properties, Lutheran Meadows and Heilman House. I've requested from Barry Azette and Associates a cost estimate to be submitted to Lutheran Home and the Borough for costs for a developer agreement, because this, based on what we have, it should be a developer agreement between the Lutheran Home and the Borough, and an amendment to the intermunicipal agreement with Long Swamp Township and the Borough Authority. So in order to prepare that and get the appropriate financial security for the agreement, we're going to be working with Barry Azette and Associates to get a cost estimate together, get financial security in place in order to finalize the agreements. Okay, those are all of the items that I have. I see the nepotism policy that I worked on with the personnel committee is later on the agenda. So that's all I have unless anyone on the council has any questions.
Questions?
Yeah, it looks like Monica has questions.
Is there any update on the Teamsters?
I don't have any update. I understand the executive session was held. I don't believe there's any further update I can give.
Okay, thank you, because I know it was back and forth, one waiting for one waiting for the other, that was the
Right.
last.
I'll get some information to Stacy from Brian Boland, just to give a general idea of status if you need it.
Thank you.
Manager's report.
As some of you might have seen if you were in the park, Mr. Fraunheiser, you might have seen new signs that were donated to the borough from PA Department of Health that say Young Lungs at Play. And they are both in English and Spanish, so they are spread throughout the park and have been installed. We met with G-Works, which is the company who we were switching to from our Safe Choice accounting, billing, payroll software. They're still experiencing delays, but they have tried to update us on the status of changing their way of accounting to doing it to the Pennsylvania chart of accounts. So we're not the only ones in Pennsylvania who are experiencing this, but they're going to be more timely in updating us. We are switching to our new IT services company on Monday, so we are preparing all of the steps that it takes to onboard with them. We filed our federal highway form 536 as required by law now. It's required, so that has been filed on time. And I attended a county commissioners event in Colebrookdale, and it went well. They're really supporting why they're funding the airport and how well that's going. And they're still working on the emergency services and how our county is in dire need of a plan. So if anyone has feedback, I know I asked the community and council to look at the survey that they had sent around. They did not have a good response to the survey, so they're asking for those same questions or the same survey to be completed. And that's all I had under my report. I just would like to put it out there again that we need to start to create the schedule for the next budget, especially with new members on council who didn't experience the budget last year. Thank you.
Thank you. Committee reports, environmental and conservation, Cal.
Yes, you have in your packets information about the Berks County MS4 Steering Committee Cost Sharing and Cooperation Agreement, and a resolution that hopefully we can do tonight. And I didn't know if people had, I can tell you the pricing, going back to 2019. So this is many, many communities coming together to share and keep all of our costs low by whatever resources Topton has, we can share with the other members back and forth. It's really a wonderful program. So in 2019, the cost was $700. Permit inspection fees, that was, I think, getting started, and then $250. 2020, it was $700. And $625 for capital improvements. 2021, $700. 2022, $700. 2023, it dropped down to $500. 2024, it was $800. And capital improvement for the park, that's not part of this, I'm
No,
sorry.
that's
I'm
not.
sorry, I gave you a couple things that shouldn't be in there. The second numbers for each year shouldn't have been in there, I'm very sorry. And for 2025, it's gonna be $900. And they evaluate each year what the expenses have been, and everything, we get pretty much everything for free, pretty much, not totally, but for being a member. And the price can go down next year,
go up the following year. Would there be anyone with any questions? We have a resolution, I don't know if you had a chance to look at it.
So the resolution, Ms. Cook, is for the county to pass,
Okay.
and the attachment to that resolution is the agreement that each municipality would sign.
That we have to do, okay. The cost sharing and cooperation agreement.
Right, and the reason for that is that it allows each municipality to participate, that participates, to spread the costs around of meeting all of its MS4 requirements. Because to do it yourself, there's education requirements, there's structure requirements, there are a number of requirements, and if you participate in this, you get some of the educational materials to use. You know, again, it spreads out the costs among the municipalities that are required to participate in MS4.
And education is a big part.
Education is
with
big one, and
MS4.
those materials can cost a lot of money, so if the county produces them with everybody contributing, it spreads the cost out better and among municipalities, or evenly distributes it.
So what's our next step here?
To approve executing the
The agreement.
the cost sharing and cooperation agreement.
I would move that we approve that.
Second,
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Have the spill response signs been installed in Roswell Township?
Not yet, no.
Not yet.
And then, nothing new on source water protection plans. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Carol. Personnel and policy plan?
Policy, the nepotism policy, Jen has reviewed it, is there anything else that you need to?
Yeah, I reviewed it, the changes I made from the original were just putting it in the form of a
Yes.
resolution, and that was really, I didn't make changes to the substance, but not substantive. The only thing I have to say to it is that the policy, as you have in front of you, is drafted in a way that isn't as restrictive as some policies which allow for no hiring of family members, of council members, or current employees whatsoever. It's fair to current employees, for example, where there has been a family relationship beforehand. And it also is mainly geared towards keeping employees out of the line of supervision of family members, in order, as we believe would be required under the Ethics Act. But it strikes a balance between the ability to hire the most qualified individual and making sure that there are no actual or perceived abuses of power.
Do many of the municipalities that you represent have it where it's only one employee or one person, whatever, per family? And
I have to think of first of all, some don't have a policy at all. And some it would be simply keep that person out of the line of supervision, because you have to understand that the problem with smaller population municipalities is there are sometimes very few people who are actually willing to serve on council or work in positions for the municipality. So certain, you'll see where certain families, there's more than one member represented. And it can be done with, as long as there's some guardrails in place. I can't think of any except larger municipalities such as cities where it's a strict, only one family member may work here, and if they get married while you're working here, one of them has to quit, that kind of thing. So again, this is a reasonable middle of the road policy which reflects reality, but again avoids actual or perceived unfairness.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion.
Do you have a second? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Who opposed this?
Kathy?
I did.
Okay, so two people opposed?
I think there was one opposed.
Me and Kathy.
Kathy, was anybody else opposed? I didn't hear that, I just heard.
I did.
Oh, you did, okay, so two.
There's really nothing to report with personnel. We currently have advertising out for some positions that are available, and there's no new news. So that concludes my report.
We get the application for the administrator.
Yeah, but there, we asked a couple of questions. Do you want part-time? Do you want a position where you have to come to a meeting once a month? And based on those, they're not really qualified. We're still pursuing like a couple that need to get back to us.
Thanks, Lonnie. Streets, Julie?
I have no report.
Thank you. Finance, Kathy?
Okay, I'd like to approval for the lists and transfers as presented to council.
I'll second.
And I'd also like to discuss the audit extension with
Do we need both?
oh, sorry, yes, sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I was reading. Sorry. The audit extension contract with the auditors. It's a fair price, it really is. And increases over the next 2 years isn't astronomical when you consider what they all do. So I would like to make a motion to approve the fees as presented to council.
I'll second.
Stacy, I know in the past there've been some challenges with some of the a different auditor company. Were you happy with this one-year experience?
Yes, and because they had to do catch-up from our previous auditors, they did a good job with that, and they have been very approachable with teaching us what we should and shouldn't do as well.
Thank you.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And that's all I have.
Thank you, Kathy. Community relations, Carol?
We have the senior luncheon coming out July 10th. We also had the community days. That was a fairly decent turnout. It was kind of a dry run for what we can do in the 150th. I think because it was on the same day as yard sales, that kind of held back a lot of the people from coming to Home Avenue. But we got some good ideas for next year. 150th anniversary, our next meeting is June 12th, and that seems to be attracting more people. The last meeting was well received. And that's about it.
We had a full house at the last one.
Yes. but more people are getting involved. Do you have anything, Julie, on that?
June 12th at 6:30 for me.
6:30.
That's
it.
Thank you. Yeah, the logging at the watershed seems to be going pretty good. They have moved further up the hill. There's still some cleanup down below that needs to be done. I was up there today, so other than that, it seems to be going well. The pool is still on hold. Recreation committee, park master plan. You wanna, or Charlie, or Stacy, or?
Do you want to go over the master plan underneath your report, and I'll go over the agreement with the county for the
That would be
funding?
fine.
So we signed a previous agreement to receive funding for Berks County, Imagine Berks, in the amount of $25,000. That expired at the end of December. They offered to just renew the same agreement with us for the exact same amount, for the exact same use. So that is before you. I'm sorry to say that it wasn't presented at a separate meeting, but in order to really get it done, and the county also has to sign it, and then payment processed to Barry Isid and Associates for doing the plan, I didn't want to hold it up another meeting. Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve it, to execute it.
All in favor? Go
Aye.
ahead, Mike.
I just have a question. So we can meet the requirements of this agreement?
Right.
You don't see any problem with anything?
No, especially since the plan is done now.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Utilities, Scott?
Payment plans are available if necessary.
Do we have to do that?
We
The change.
Change order.
Sorry, we need to change it.
You're done though.
I'm done.
Change order, do you want to
There's
speak to
a,
that?
yeah, there's a change order that you have for the Oak Alley project. It's to add 2 signs and take out water line. We put together the project. We weren't sure how much water line would need to be replaced, so we put an amount in, and we didn't need as much of it as we thought might happen. So this change order is actually a reduction in the contract of $1,928.75. So we need it approved so that we can finish out paperwork for that contract.
Want to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make the motion.
And I'll second the motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now, Scott.
He's done.
I'm done.
So you said there's payment plans?
Payment plans available if
How,
anyone.
do you know how many people are on payment plans currently? Like, just 4 people out of the whole town? That's wonderful.
Do we have any delinquencies right now?
Ordinance.
Everyone who has not paid yet would be delinquent, but not to the point of getting turned off. So it's midway through the quarter.
Charlie, engineer report?
Yep, we did have a little fun last month. On the well, it turns out the DEP departments don't actually necessarily know what each other are doing. So we're talking to the drinking water folks, and when we went out to coordinate for the sampling of the well, the spill response folks with DEP still have an open permit. So we're working on getting that resolved right now so that we can do the sampling and go through. One of the side effects is that they had been doing sampling out there. So we're trying to see if we can get those records, and maybe we don't have to do any additional sampling. A lot will take a little time. It may not actually, we may not need to do the sampling that we were looking to have to do because they were doing sampling as a result of the spill. Our understanding is it's all been cleaned up. There was no residual items in there, but somehow people don't know whether or not the incident was closed at DEP. That's the difficulty. So, and it's gotta be closed on the spill side before we can touch drinking water. So that was the fun that hit a week after the last meeting. On Washington Street, we did get the submittals in. We had no issue with them. I've had discussions with Alex. I'll be getting him and you a copy for there, but they are able to proceed with the fabrication of the equipment. And that means we can proceed with re-getting the construction aspect out to bid now that we have an approved submittal package. So our anticipation is to get that out to bid this month. And then give plenty of time because the equipment won't arrive until probably the 1st of August is what we're looking at this point. So the contractor can't do a whole lot until that equipment's on site. They have a few things to order, but not a whole lot. Same thing, I was able to meet with Alex to go through the chlorine contact chamber a little bit, and we should be having that out to bid. That's also covered by the grant. So we're hoping to have some projects the next couple of months to work through. Oak Alley, Callowhill we came out to do a punch list. I did come out on that to make sure the sidewalk got lit correctly. Biggest issue was one of the sidewalk panels was not installed in accordance with ADA. It had a greater side slope, so that had to be taken out. Take out one sidewalk panel, that affects others, so I had to work through that with the contractor. There were other items like the first mowing that were supposed to be here before the baseball tournament. Our apologies, they said they would be, we instructed them to. Otherwise, for the most part, it looked pretty good. They've got some follow-up on the rain garden with plantings, and some warranty there, and then the trees. So there's a warranty bond and a guarantee that carry through, and we're doing a maintenance schedule so that the borough knows when the contractor will be handing the individual aspects off to the borough.
The rain garden? So they were looking a little rough because they weren't really maintaining the water and it got a little warm there, so like how good is it?
So they're gonna replace.
They are gonna replace
They're
it,
going,
okay.
and my guess, remember I'm a water and sewer guy, not a plants guy, but I would be planting those plants in the summer. If they do, they're probably gonna replant them in the fall.
Yeah,
So,
they were working on it
Yeah,
today.
so they were doing some work.
Oh, they were replaced.
It had to be
I
weeded.
don't know, I saw them pulling stuff out.
They had to weed it. That was definitely a need.
Yeah.
I will say the same plantings, I'll send a photo, are what were used at the rain garden in front of our offices. Is the best looking rain garden I've ever seen. Stopped me from being able to see. I hadn't seen very many that work, so it does work. We need to look at, right now it has protective fencing still up. We need to look at how we're gonna handle that going forward. So that is a discussion point on it. I'm trying to think if there was anything else noteworthy. Well, they've done a pretty good job with most of this stuff. We mentioned. The master plan had been submitted in draft, gotten some comments. It was, I think, submitted back for your review, and they're looking for adoption at the July meeting if you don't have any issues with that. That's what Brian told me. So,
Is that okay with council?
if you have any comments, don't hesitate to
Okay.
send me an email or give me a call.
And just so the public knows, the draft master plan in the written form, along with the diagram that was already placed there last year, are both located on the website. Please bring your comments to Borough Hall.
And that's, I think, my report.
I had a question, Shirley.
Yes.
In the tasks 1 through 7, and then
Yes,
feasibility study,
we're on the well. Right?
yes,
Okay.
sorry. this and do funding, Topton volunteered that we would pay what it cost to determine if it was a feasible site or not. And once that was determined, then there would be negotiations for what Long Swamp would pay and what Topton would pay. So at what point do we know it's feasible?
After this sampling situation is resolved, we will have everything in place to be able to go forward. That's with doing that drilling that'll determine what actually gets produced there. So it depends on what you mean by feasible. If it'll be desktop feasible after we get this round of sampling back. The well will be, and I'll use this term because it's what you use in well drilling, proven when we actually sink the hole and get samples back and do a pump test. And that's the task up to task 5. And then the rest of the stuff is actually putting that well into service, and that's where the big money comes in. If you look, there is a 60,000 to drill well and 15 more, so we're about 75,000 to pump it and get that. And then you're spending the next chunks to actually put the improvements in place and connect that well to the system. We also need those tests because that'll tell us if, that's when you know that the degree of treatment that's required. The budget is based on only meeting chlorination.
So,
I think that was meaning to do the construction and do that, the 260,000 that's in here for those last three is what we were talking about that.
on soil samples and if there was lead on the site from being a gun range or whatnot.
So the water sampling is to see if there's any, that's this round, is to see if there are any groundwater issues. They wanted to add that for the lead. And actually clay pigeons, apparently there's some chemicals in those in the old ones. To see if that had any impact on the groundwater that we'll be drawing from. The next, after that, it's, that's the final step in us getting DEP's approval to actually go out and punch a hole in the ground. What they do is they punch a well hole in the ground. We standardly make it the size we want it for the production well, but you don't have to. But you need a hole in the ground that goes down in, and which you drill the well. It's all done so that it's so it's usable as a public water supply valve. And then we run pump tests to make sure of what the production rate from that aquifer is. So you know how many gallons per minute you can get out of it. We don't know it until we drill a hole and pump it. And we take water samples. At the same time, I get the full panel. It's like a 10 or 11 page report that comes back of all the things that you would care about looking at. We get a couple of those samples for that. And that's when you make your final go, no-go on whether you can get the well you want in that location. So there's water quantity and quality that were determined at that time. All the work up to that is there a reasonable expectation of there being good water, both quantity and quality. The first steps are give us an idea that the quantity is likely there that we're looking for. This remaining testing is seeing that there's no issues with known issues with quality. And then
It's a reasonable expectation.
and until you put the hole in the ground, you don't know. As sorry to say it, but take it, we go through the educated work, and I've drilled over 100 wells in my career. A couple of those I used to do them working with the USGS in another part of the country. I had 2 that did not turn out to be usable. So you don't know until you punch the hole in the ground. But you go through all that stuff up front to make sure that there's not a known or a reasonable chance of failure. We want a good chance of success before we actually spend that money to punch a hole in the ground.
Thank you.
Is that it, Ron?
Yep.
Thank you. Hometown Heroes update. Some of the banners came down with the rain and the windstorms. Some needed to be repaired. They're back, they're just gonna be rehung. Anything on the preservation board, Carol?
Yes, we have an update at the back of your packet. You'll see the write-up that Larry does for us. And the one thing that was missing from that is the bank balance. And as of April 30th, the balance was $4,407. And that is the key issue of oversight of the preservation board. And he does a very nice write-up of all the things he's done.
That it? Thank you. The meeting with the municipal authority and us, I send out an email to them to see if they can meet Monday. I'm still waiting for an answer from Lynn. Mr. Eppert and Bruce are okay with Monday, but I haven't heard back from Lynn.
Are you talking about next Monday?
The meeting would be what date? Or is it you're waiting to hear
The
back?
16th.
June 16th, so we're still waiting to know about June 16th.
When I checked my email before I came, he still didn't respond.
And what time would that be if the meeting is going to take place on June 16th?
With them, I would like,
After 6:30, is that what you would?
with them, I would like maybe 7, and I would like if we could meet like earlier, like 5 to 7, or 5:30 to 7.
5 to 7 to
I
12.
will send an email on what I want to do.
And would that be here?
Mm-hmm. It's, if you remember what we all discussed, it would just,
It was
just
quite a
flop.
while ago to set this
flopped.
up within a week now.
Right.
And it's kind of now short notice, but okay.
Well, remember, it has to be advertised.
Yes.
Advertised
Yeah.
3 days in advance.
That's all I have on that. Motion for adjournment?
I have.
Oh, go ahead, Charlie.
So we got this packet here of stuff in my,
Yes.
from a property on White Street. This was given to me. Is there anything we could talk about, or is this just for?
That's for the conditional use hearing that we would have on an agenda.
Oh, so this is just.
Council was asked
for
if,
that.
council was asked if a certain date was okay for it, and council needs to let us know, let
Is
the
the
solicitor know.
Is the July, well, I would need authorization to advertise, so would the July meeting
Is that the
date,
17th?
14th.
July 14th?
July 14th, would that work for everybody? Say we have it either at 6:30 or at the very beginning of the meeting?
Which would council prefer, at 6:30 or at 7 PM?
How much time do you think we'll need?
I haven't seen the application, I was made aware of it, I was speaking with his attorney about, the owner's attorney about something else entirely, and he said he was going to be submitting a conditional use application, so I haven't had a chance to review it.
Is it going to be set up before the actual?
So it'd be before our council.
Right, the way it's very often done with conditional use is have the hearing advertised for, say, 6:30, if it's going to be there's a 7 o'clock council meeting. It may spill over for 15 minutes to a half hour into the regular meetings. So you'll just advertise it that the regular meeting will take place immediately after the conditional use hearing. I think that's the best way to do it. I think it's better to do it if everybody's available, when your work schedules and your family schedules allow it, to be there a half hour early rather than have the meeting go very late because there was a conditional use hearing.
How much time does that usually take?
Conditional use hearings usually take about half hour to 45 minutes. They usually don't go very long unless it's very detailed. Again, I haven't seen this application, so it didn't sound like anything that would be very detailed. I mean, remember, it's not a variance hearing. You don't have the same burden of proof as you would with a variance. So again, I recommend 6:30.
So you need a motion to
Motion
authorize you to
Authorize
advertise.
advertisement of the conditional use hearing.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Right.
Opposed?
Okay, now, I will need a packet, I didn't receive one, so I will need one, so that'd be great.
You got it.
I would also like to request an executive session of the council to discuss personnel matters and unfinished things we have to discuss relating to any negotiations that are outstanding.
When we're done here?
No, at some point, yeah, when the guys are back and we're all available, just wanted to see if the majority was interested in doing that.
That's gonna be part of the email that I sent you.
Oh, did you send an email?
Did you send an email?
No, I was
Oh,
waiting
okay.
for Lynn.
You're waiting.
I was waiting to do, remember we talked about doing both of them together?
Right, but you also, but what Elena's asking for is an executive session, maybe before or after that meeting.
Right.
Yeah, or
So that would be
or
part
another
of,
time.
or another
I-
time, so that would be part of your email, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I get my laptop back tonight. When I get home, I'll do that tonight, yeah.
Motion to adjourn?
You have a motion?
Yes.
All in favor?
I need a
Aye.
motion.
Aye.